Hello everyone, welcome to Midnight Terrors, but before we begin, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more scary content. With that said, let's begin. We embarked on what seemed like an innocent archaeological trip to West Africa to trace the lost paths of the slave trade. Little did we know, we were stepping into a nightmare far darker than we could have ever imagined. Our team had been moving for hours. The journey through the bush was treacherous. Erosion had destroyed much of the area, leaving behind jagged hills and massive boulders. Navigating through overgrown trails was like walking through the remnants of an ancient battle, or like the ghosts of history had swept away the traces of time. As we debated whether to proceed or turn back, the decision weighed heavily on us. Then, our blood froze. The unmistakable sound of gunshots echoed in the distance, and then another gunshot, piercing the air, freezing us in place. In sheer panic, we scattered for cover as instinct took over. We dropped to the ground, breaths held, hearts pounding in rhythm with the unseen danger. Our armed guards motioned towards a small opening, half hidden by the creeping tendrils of the forest. It was a cave, dark, foreboding, and perhaps our only chance. We didn't have time to think. We dashed inside, our breaths echoing against the cavern walls and tumbling into darkness, hoping the thick stone walls would shield us from the unknown threat outside. The cave was pitch black, damp and cold. We fumbled for our flashlights, fingers trembling. When the light flickered on, what they revealed took our breath away. Crude carvings of men, women, and children bound in heavy chains, forever imprisoned on the walls. Their faces, twisted in agony, seemed to stare back at us, pleading to be remembered. The images told a story, people bound in chains, their heads hanging in despair. It wasn't just a cave, it was a tomb of memories, a testament to unimaginable suffering. Who had made these markings, and why? The air grew colder the deeper as we ventured, as if the souls trapped in stone were reaching out to us. Towards the far end of the cave, we noticed something strange, a stone slab unlike the others. It was loose, and the markings, they didn't belong. They were recent. We hesitated for a moment. What if we weren't supposed to disturb it? But curiosity outweighed caution. We carefully lifted it, our hands trembling. What we found beneath it was an old rusted metal box, almost blending into the stone. Its edges were corroded, its surface covered in grime. What secrets did it hold? With shaking hands, we forced it open, and inside we found them, scrolls. Ancient, preserved scrolls bound tightly, their paper fragile yet intact. The first scroll told a tale unlike any we'd ever heard, early 1440 Portugal. Written by someone who had witnessed a slave revolt in Portugal. A rebellion of slaves, a desperate revolt against the unimaginable cruelty of their owners. It was chaos, rage, and anguish painted across parchment. The slaves had taken vengeance. They killed their captors, ransacked churches, burnt entire estates in their bid for freedom. The revolt spread like wildfire. The freed slaves took vengeance, leaving nothing but ash and blood in their wake. But their freedom was short-lived and came at a terrible price. The army came. Thousands of slaves were killed, tortured in ways that defy the limits of human cruelty and beyond inhumane. Leaders were made to eat their family members before being killed. Those who survived faced a fate worse than death. Fed alive to wild animals, torn apart while others watched in horror. It was as if hell itself had opened its gates, and the atrocities committed were beyond what any of us could fathom. We had uncovered a forgotten chapter of horror, one that was meant to be lost to time. The energy in the cave shifted, a cold breeze swept through, and a sense of dread wrapped around us. It was as if we had awakened something ancient, something that demanded we remember the pain, the suffering, the terror. As we left that dark place, we decided to remind the world. Some things should not be left buried. The story of the slaves, their fight, their suffering, it would haunt us forever. We had found more than history in that cave. We had found a nightmare. I can still see the drawing on the cave as I close my eyes. If you dare to delve deeper into the darkness of history, subscribe and join us again for the other scrolls. But remember, some truths are more terrifying than any ghost story.